All right, so check this out. I want to show you something. This truck right here is $162,000. That's crazy. And I would assume a lot of you that are watching this video have paid well less for a house than what that truck costs. $162,000. And then check this out. Look at that behind me. All of them. And then we get into the regular stock, right? And let's see how they're doing here. See all these loaded up F-150s right here. See all these loaded up F-150s right here. And it's amazing when I come to these Ford dealerships, and really any of these dealerships that stock a lot of these bigger trucks, a lot of these lift kit trucks, a lot of these Harley Davidson, the Black Widow packages, things like that, they're charging $100, $120, $162,000 in the case of that truck right there that's lifted up. And here's the thing, people are actually spending that kind of money on the trucks. And I know we talk about a lot how the car market's slowing. A lot of these dealerships are having a harder time actually moving a lot of these trucks, and that is true. But here's the thing, they're still going to be selling some of them at those price points, because if they were selling absolutely nothing, zero of those trucks at $162,000, well, they wouldn't be marking them to that price. And it's the market, it's people who are actually buying these vehicles that are setting the prices on these trucks. So as long as there's one dude out there, one person out there that's going to be buying that truck for $162,000, and they think that they can get it for it, they're going to price it at that price point. If they weren't moving it, it wouldn't be $162,000. And here's the thing, in a lot of cases for a lot of these trucks that you're seeing out here, me walking by, well, yeah, maybe they're not moving a ton of them for that price point, but these dealerships still feel like they can get that amount of it. And when they're pricing them that high, if they have very high margins on those products that they're selling for $150,000, $160,000, well, in a lot of cases, they're probably making the moon on a lot of these trucks. So that one truck that they're selling, they could probably sell that one truck and make the same amount that they're going to make on selling 4 or 5 trucks for what's a reasonable price today in this market. I mean, what is that? What is a reasonable price for a truck right now? $60,000, $70,000? That sounds so crazy for us to say, but in this market right now, if you're looking at a Lariat, if you're looking at even like a Platinum model, if you're looking at what's the next step down, an XLT here at Ford, you're still paying $60,000 for that truck. And that is going to be one of the mid to lower trim options that you're going to see at a lot of these dealerships. You go to GM, if you go to Ram, $60,000 is that mid-level. That is insane. But here's what's weird. From the dealerships, we're hearing that sales are weak, but Ford, I'm at a Ford lot right now, just turned in record sales. But that's not the full story, and we can dive into this a little bit. I've talked about the earnings and what it looks like, but for them to do that, but their dealerships to still add days of inventory to the supply of these trucks that they have out here, well, that means that Ford is really channel stuffing a lot of these dealers. Now, dealers are still taking a lot of these allocations, but you have to remember what went on 2 quarters ago for Ford, for their dealerships, is that we had tons and tons of pull forward in demand at these dealerships from people trying to get ahead of tariffs. So what does that mean? A lot of these dealers, they sold vehicles back in early spring for people to get ahead of this administration's tariffs. So if they were going to be buyers, well, they went ahead and bought. And now those buyers are nowhere to be found. So what has happened is those dealerships, they emptied out a lot of these vehicles, a lot of these trucks, and then they had to go to Ford and say, okay, we'll take all the allocations you can give us because we sold a lot of trucks. Now we have to get them back. So this is how Ford can have a record-setting last quarter whenever their dealerships are suffering in a big way, because all this pull forward in demand made all these dealerships have to get all these allocations, get all these trucks back in stock. But now we're at a standstill from the consumer side. So this quarter, as far as sales goes, looks really good for Ford, but the following quarters are going, in my opinion, to be very, very, very weak, just because these dealerships now, I mean, look around me. You see any spots for them to be able to add trucks? And I can tell you, they're probably not going to be really flying through selling a lot of these trucks right now, because all of those customers that were going to be customers, they bought 2-3 months ago to get ahead of all this craziness that the market was supposed to have. And even if a customer wasn't sure if they were going to be buying or not, well, they went ahead and bought just because they knew, or at least they thought they knew, that trucks were going to be way more expensive right now than they were back 2-3 months ago when they did buy that vehicle. So here's where we are right now, where Ford can have that great quarter because all the pull forward in demand, load the dealers back up. But now we're back to loaded, and this is what you see here. You see loaded dealerships. And when that happens, well, they have to start turning down allocations. See, and on top of this, another problem that you're going to see from Ford is that their margins have shrunk a little bit. So you're going to have a situation where they can't add as many incentives as what they would traditionally do to pump out volume. And when you have margins that shrink, well, you have less wiggle room. And one thing that Wall Street really likes is high margin. And even in more case from these auto manufacturers, they would rather see more profit per vehicle than they would see them actually go to the volume model. We saw this over the last 4 years, right? All these auto manufacturers put up crazy quarters. They make tons and tons and tons of money, but they weren't selling even anywhere close to as many vehicles as they were selling pre-COVID. And this is what made them so much money, because they could make a lot more money per vehicle than they would focus on their margins versus actually pumping out volume. And if they could get back to that, that's what they would love to do, and they can try that. But the thing about it is, when you're having, I mean, let's look at this. This is a good one to look at. We got a Raptor sitting over here. This dealership's always pretty good for having a lot of these high content trucks. Check this out. $95,000. And when you have trucks like this, where you're charging almost $100,000 on it, they can make so much money. Not only these dealerships, the dealerships make a ton of money on a truck like that, but also your manufacturer. And they would much rather sell that high content, the Raptors, the Platinums, the Lariats, the King Ranch trims, than they would making a low content vehicle, because their margins are going to shrink so much the less that they can actually charge for the vehicle. And as you have consumers that don't want to pay for the high content stuff, well, you have to sell volume in the lower content vehicles that are cheaper, and that's not the model that a lot of these manufacturers want to actually get into or get back to. But really, the market's forcing their hand when you go and you see that, okay, Ford can get more trucks to their dealerships, and we saw it last quarter, but their margins are shrinking. So it doesn't set up well for a company like Ford going forward, because as your margins slim, as you try to do more volume, well, you have less wiggle room, you have less ability to get out incentives to a lot of these dealerships. And that's what the market used to be built on, is not margin. It used to be built on volume. And I want us to get back to that volume game, because secretly it helps me too. I'm a used car dealer, so I need these dealerships to pump out a lot of volume. I need Ford to get a lot of incentives to a lot of these dealerships, so they can get more butts and seats. If they do that, they can get more trade-ins. More trade-ins go to auction, then I can buy, then my prices can come down. So that's what I really want. But I don't see that for the next 2 or 3 quarters at least, because we have a traffic jam really already built up from all these people that already bought, and now no buyers here. And one thing I did want to come over here and show you is something that's very interesting to me, because I've never seen this before. So hold on, I'm walking down to it. I got it. We got a line of trucks right here, but not just any trucks. We have Ford Lightnings. All of these right here are Lightnings, but this is something I've never seen. Check this out. I've never seen a sold Ford Lightning before, and it's funny that actually I can show you one. Let's see what somebody paid for it. About $90,000 is the sticker price. Now, I'm sure there is no way that they paid that unless they're just a moron. But these are some of the hardest to sell vehicles for Ford dealerships. And I can give you some numbers behind it. I actually broke out all the Ford Lightnings that they sold last year, and then divided that by the number of Ford dealerships that are in the country, and every Ford dealership on average sold just one a month. So this is their one this month that they're selling in these F-150 Lightnings. And you can see that, all right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 just sitting right here. So if they only have 4, and I would assume this is a massive dealership, we got some more F-150 Lightnings somewhere. A lot of times when I come here, they have them sprinkled in with the other F-150s. So let's just say they have 4 though. And you're selling one a month, so you got 4 months supply of these F-150 Lightnings. Average 30 days of in a month. You got 60. You got 120 day supply just sitting right there, because on average every Ford dealer sells one a month. So 120 day supply just for me doing a little bit of eyeball math right here at this Ford dealership. That's crazy to think about, because where Ford wants to be, or where any dealership really that's selling new vehicles want to be, they want to be between 50 and 60 days supply. That's kind of like their golden zone of when they are actually doing good and pumping out vehicles. And right now Ford is hovering over 100 day supply just across the board. And just on Ford Lightnings, I don't even know what the day supply are, but if this Ford dealership only has 4, then they have 120 day supply of that Ford Lightning. It's just funny to see. It's a $90,000 truck. EV truck, $90,000. Having a hard time selling them? Yeah, probably not getting any better. I will say one place that Ford has done actually very well, and what's really helping their business is this stuff right here, the commercial stuff. And I know I get asked a lot about looking at some of this stuff. Let's look at one. What is this? This is a Ford Transit 2025. It's a 350. It says cargo, rear-wheel drive. I spun you around to show you the price, but I don't see a price. Where's the price? Where's the price? Oh yeah, here it is. $56,000. You know what? That doesn't actually seem all that bad for something like this. $56,000 for this. I mean, I know it's just like a bare bones vehicle. It's got just an empty space in the back. This is what we need on the truck space. There's probably not a lot of content. There's I'm assuming probably cloth seats, not a whole bunch of screens, not a whole bunch of added things, and then you turn you around just to show you the contrast, and there's going to be a Harley Davidson lifted truck over there, and that's going to be probably $100,000 and $110,000. But they have the capability to make trucks that are $30,000, $35,000 if you just make them more bare bones. And you can see where they're making a ton of their money in the commercial side. Let's get some of that over on the retail side. But here's the problem I hear from a lot of salespeople too, and a lot of GMs and sales managers, is that, okay, well, we've had some stuff that's decontented. We have some stuff that has just steel wheels and basic looking cloth seats and everything. People don't buy it. So here's the thing. I know I see it all the time. People are screaming for cheaper stuff. But when you get these manufacturers to put out some of the cheaper stuff and they get to dealerships, well, then consumers don't really buy it. So what's the problem? Is it the manufacturers that are adding all this crazy content to the vehicles, which makes them more expensive, or is it culturally what we want to drive? And I mean, that's kind of I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg kind of problem, because if you put them out here, will they buy them? Or if you want cheaper stuff, well, that comes with a price, right? If you want something cheaper that coming out of these manufacturers, well, then you're not getting the nice wheels, you're not getting all the screens, you're not getting all the luxuries of the heated and cooled seats. And is that something that a majority of people want to buy? I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? You want a Lariat, but you want it for $35,000. It's probably not happening. So this is it's an interesting thing to really think about. Is it a problem with the consumer base and what they're actually wanting, and what kind of things they actually want in their trucks? Or is it a problem with the manufacturer just charging too much money no matter what? That's interesting. I'd like to hear what you have to think about that in the comments.